and welcome to Charging Stack, where we talk to people rethinking how we move and how we power the journey. Today, we've got Steven Rossi, founder and CEO of Worksport. The company started with bed covers for pickups, but now they're betting big on turning trucks into clean energy machines with their SOLIS solar power and core battery system. Steven, it's great to have you here with us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I would like to start, again, I mentioned the covers, clean energy covers. I would like to start with the question. So Worksport started with making truck bed covers, right? At what point did you realize there was a bigger opportunity in the energy?
It was precisely the early part of 2014. It was my father, in fact, that had called me, and just said, gave me this brilliant idea. He said, why don't you think about doing solar panels on your tonneau covers? And then that idea, that was maybe a year earlier, and that idea really started percolating. It kept coming back in my mind, coming back and back. And at a certain point, solar, in 2013, 14, started developing or advancing to become more readily adopted. So the efficiency was higher, the power was higher. So in general, it started making sense. I did some basic calculations and I discovered, okay, yeah, this solar panel, this size we have on the bed of the truck could produce 500, 600 watts. And there's a certain saying they say in clean energy is meaningfulness of power. Meaningfulness means is it worth it? Putting like a small solar array on a big car, it's not going to do anything. But, in this case, 600 watts is very meaningful. So that's when, we thought it was introduced, the idea by my father was introduced in 2013, and then it really started taking shape and we conceptualized it in 2014.
Well, props to your father.
Yeah.
He's the true innovator here. Was there a point when they clicked for you that, the truck could serve more, not only as a transport, but also as a power source? Because we can see from your products, then you have something interesting. I would, like you to tell us about it.
Mm-hmm. So in 2014, when I started kind of percolating or marinating the idea, first we thought solar tonneau cover. Okay, how do we do this? Is it going to be one piece? Is it going to be folding? Every time you make it folding, our solar panels meant to be folded. Connections, between joints are always very difficult, high wear locations, but we settled on a folding solar array. And in 2014, we released this concept of the SOLIS, solar tonneau cover. Then the thought process shifted a little bit. And when it started to shift, we started thinking, well, what are we going to do with this power? So there's an innate fork in the road. The fork in the road, proverbially or metaphorically, is option one is this energy, the 600 watts in optimal condition, could charge an electric vehicle. That's a very clear opportunity. But going back a decade, we were crazy. There's video of me showing our SOLIS prototype in 2014. I still remember there was an interview by a crew and at a automotive show in Las Vegas that we did in 2014, and the prototype wasn't even working. It was just made with like as I say, like bubble gum and tape, bubble gum and glue. And when he ended the recording, he's like, you guys are really crazy. And the reason why he said that is in 2014, an electric pickup truck wasn't even close. Like the Ford F-150 or Rivian or Cybertruck weren't even an idea. At least, at least in the market at that time announced. Maybe Ford was working on the F-150 Lightning. But anyway, so I thought option one is it could charge an electric truck. And I thought maybe we're going to make a bet that an electric truck will come out. And then number two is there's 60 million pickup trucks on the road in the U.S., just in the U.S. And that number is growing in Europe. It's growing in Africa. It's growing globally, South America as well. And why not, use that energy to power the trucks, to turn them into little power stations? So then we thought solar panel, we need to create an energy storage system. And that's when the core was born. And when the core was born, in essence, the mandate was a generator without gasoline, a battery powered generator. And we've done some very, very strong innovations. Obviously, I'll share some of them with you a little bit, later as we get into the core. But we thought about these two options for the SOLIS: charging electric pickup trucks or powering a battery generator. And that's where we are today. The cover could do both.
It's amazing. I definitely encourage our listeners to check out your website. We will link everything and encourage them to take a look at it. But of course, just I want to shift back. I remember myself reading in the magazines back, let's say 2014, 13, 12, when the first cars here in Europe came with the solar panel roofs. And back then journalists were just, it was not going well back in the
Hmm.
day. It was not
Hmm.
perceived well. It was perceived as a waste of time, as a marketing trick, as something that's not working.
Hmm.
So my question to you is, so 2014, 13, maybe even before that, did technology really make such a strong, move forward, or was it really just something that wasn't perceived well by the public for no reason?
Good question. So the first solar panels that were ever put on the White House, I believe in the 90s. I might be wrong, or early 2000s. I used to know the date, but I haven't referenced this in a while. Let's say years ago, the first solar panels placed on the White House, I believe, were in 12 to 14% efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
So the generally, yeah, of the sunlight that's presented to the panels, it would only convert 10, 11, 12%. As it got hotter, the panels got hotter, of course that number would go down. Now solar panels customarily produce 22, 23%. Now
Mm-hmm.
there's science involved, the angle of the sun relative to the panel itself, but there's also this new technology that's going to be coming out very soon called perovskite.
Mm-hmm.
Perovskite is more is less sensitive to the angle of the sun and generates, let's say, 20% at all sun angles. Solar technology has increased massively. There's all kinds of innovation. Also, the panels back, when they first came out in the mid 2000s and 2010 were very rigid. They had glass um, cells within, and that the wafers, otherwise known as cells, as soon as they moved a little bit, they would crack, and then the diodes and circuitry and behind them would crack, and then it would be like a string of Christmas lights. That panel would crack, and then the one next to it would fail and fail. And it's like I said, in a Christmas tree lighting, you pull out one light and all of them die. But now we have amazing configurations where the panels are highly flexible. They're more powerful. They're less sensitive to the angle of the sun. And with perovskite and other technologies coming out, I think that it's going to become much more meaningful in terms of the ability to power, real apparatuses. There was on my Twitter, I posted a video of me at our research and development facility in Springfield, Missouri, and we had our solar tonneau cover on a medium-sized truck. And connected to the solar tonneau cover, we had a 36-inch industrial barrel fan. I mean, the type of barrel fan that could, blow your hair off.
Mm-hmm.
And the tonneau cover was powering this fan, this industrial fan that's meant to cool, 3,000 square feet. The solar tonneau cover was powering the barrel fan and still generating excess power to charge our battery at the
Wow.
same time. And that's from, average sun in the afternoon. So that's a very meaningful amount of energy from, an accessory, let alone industrial applications.
Absolutely. And one, like, now I'm thinking, as we're talking, global warming is a thing, of course. Are we getting more sunny days? Are we getting more sunlight exposure? Is that
Yeah,
a
oh yeah,
thing?
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And in it's certain, of course, there's a sun map. What the scientific term is, like it escapes me right now, but there's
Mm-hmm.
certain areas that produce much higher sun, like the state of Arizona has, like, by measure, the highest amount of sun. But generally, the sun is getting we're getting a stronger sun. What's also interesting is irradiance is a strong measure of the sun's energy. And what's interesting about irradiance is in the northern environments, like in Canada, for example, the irradiance in the winter time is wildly high. You can have up to 1,000 watts per square meter of irradiance in winter in the north. So although in winter you have fewer sun hours, in the wintertime, you have nearly double the amount of irradiance because
Wow.
the air is so crisp that there's less obstruction between literally the sun itself and the solar panel. So irradiance in the wintertime is, so in colder climates, so you have more intense sun in the summer, but you have very intense sun over shorter sun hours in colder climates where the air is more crisp.
Really interesting. Really interesting. So now going back, we said we're gonna start talking about it more and more. I would like to start with SOLIS. If that's okay with you. So someone who is totally new to it, how does the SOLIS solar cover is this solar cover actually work day to day? What is it made for? What's the idea behind it?
Sure. So the SOLIS, so 76, now there's 68 million pickup trucks on the road. And the tonneau cover, a bed cover for pickup trucks as a niche market, as a
Hmm.
concentrated market is a very highly adopted item. So when people buy pickup trucks in America or globally, the first thing that they really want is usually a tonneau cover. So first and foremost, the SOLIS is a bed cover. It will keep your cargo clean, dry, safe. So it does everything that Worksport does very well, which is it's a fine truck bed cover. But while being a fine truck bed cover, it also has 3 integrated custom fit solar panels. So it's a 3-fold system. So it has 3 individual panels, and all 3 have their own custom fit solar array that are interconnected on the bottom side with a very unique proprietary wire management system. So each panel is either wired in parallel or in series in a proprietary way to allow us to be able to handle voltage and power such that it can connect with a battery generator. So it's a tonneau cover and it has custom integrated solar panels. Now the solar panels themselves are made at the same facility that makes solar panels that are used by NASA on the space stations.
Wow.
So the highest quality solar cells and panels possible. So they're not expensive, so they're not cheap rather, but
Yeah.
they're also the highest quality such that if the panel itself were to sustain any damage from hail or impact, something falls and drops, the panels themselves, we've done a test, a damage test, catastrophic damage test, where we took a blunt object. And so a panel consists of cells, wafers. If you've seen the solar panels, they look like little boxes, right? That's a wafer, 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 wafer. And there's a configuration to the wafers. We've taken a blunt in a lab, we've taken a blunt object and damaged each one of the wafers. So sometimes there's 30 or 40 wafers in a cell. And we were still able to produce almost 80% of the power from that panel, then if it wasn't damaged. Whereas, yeah, going back 20 years ago, if you damaged one wafer, the entire panel would become dead. So the
Hmm.
technology made by this partner factory of ours is fantastic. And we have a highly flexible panel, so we can see up to 30 degrees of bend. So deflection from wind or weight on top, weight underneath, items underneath, and the panels can bend. So the SOLIS is a 3-folding tonneau cover, custom fit to most major makes and models of trucks. It could fit any truck that's available. So we have Ford, General Motors, Stellantis, Dodge, Honda, Toyota, Hyundai, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a great cover. It has 3 high power solar panels integrated with a unique wireway system. And what we have is we have MC4 connectors that exit the front panel of the tonneau cover. And our MC4 connectors could be with OEM integration integrated in an electric vehicle, which we haven't done yet, but we plan on doing in the future. And that could charge an electric vehicle, or the MC4 connectors can connect with a battery generator system like our system or any other system that's out there, the other competing battery generator systems. So if a customer already has a battery generator, they could bring their own, BYOB, bring your own battery, and it could charge any battery array as well.
Wow. So as we said, you have Mother Nature going your way, which is amazing. You have an awesome product, super durable, solar panels used by NASA, fully customizable, fully adaptable. Wow. I mean, I have to only congratulate you. Sounds amazing.
Mhm.
I wanted to ask you now, speaking of power, like how much power are we talking about? How much power can a SOLIS generate on average, let's say?
SOLIS can generate. So we have the truck beds are the canvas in which we could really create here. Some trucks are very small beds, like Hyundai is typically a small vehicle, and they have a Santa Cruz vehicle, and those beds are 4 feet by 4 feet,
Hmm.
16 square feet, and it produces maybe 250 watts, which is still a meaningful amount of power when you think that when you consider that like a large screen television
Hmm.
consumes 50, 60, sometimes 70 watts of energy. So, on a small truck, if you're someone that's tailgating, a football fan or whatever, enjoying the outdoors, even on our smallest panels array, you could still, power 4 televisions,
Wow.
from the sun, which is it's not nothing. It's meaningful. It's not just charging your
Absolutely.
phone. It's, 3 televisions in your laptop or something and that's it's a tiny little truck. Once you get into full size trucks like General Motors, Ford Super Duty, GM Super Duty, which are almost 7 feet long, those beds, 5 feet by 7 feet, you get into 600 watts,
Mm.
which is now a significant amount of energy. And it could charge our batteries, our core batteries, 1 kilowatt each. And each core battery at 1 kilowatt could be charged in about 4 hours from the sun in good conditions. So 1 kilowatt is a very meaningful amount of energy as well. The average small home user, average house, maybe a heat pump or a small air conditioning unit, a normal stove and fridge. We're not talking mansions with pools and multiple air conditioners. The average homeowner consumes between 10 and 20 kilowatts in a day. That's powering everything. So if one of our batteries can be charged in, I think it's less than 4 hours, let's call it 2.5 to 3 hours, you could produce 2 or 3 kilowatts of energy in a day, which is 20 or 30% at the most of what a whole home uses, just from a small solar apparatus. So it's highly efficient and highly meaningful.
Wow. Wow, I was recently in Vermont on one of the campgrounds on vacation, and I mean there were so many pickup trucks, and now I'm
Mhm.
thinking, are campgrounds, people who camp, is that something like a target market potentially, something that people can use because they can do so much with power they can generate pretty much just by, you know, their pickup trucks literally being parked in the campground.
Mhm. Yeah, camp. We say job site, campsite, and first
Mm-hmm.
responders. That's our target market for the Solus and Core. Is really anyone that's either, we also say, swinging a hammer or swinging a golf club. So that's really
Mm-hmm.
the essence of Worksport. That's the name of the essence of our business is in our name, is work or sport. Typically, what
Mm-hmm.
we do as humans is either something that's, for our career or something for enjoyment, which is sport, whether that's camping, fishing, reading, drone photography, kayaking, canoeing. I mean, you're never going to have power wherever you go, but with the Core, our power battery generator system, you could literally bring an unlimited amount of energy with you anywhere you go. And camping is definitely one of them. Tailgating in America is very big. Footballers in Europe is very big. And being able to bring a portable, unlimited amount of power with you anywhere you go is great. But also, if you look at the other side, when things don't go so well, hurricanes, natural disasters, earthquakes, fires, the first thing that fails is the power system, and having backup power is critical. And we think that there's a very big opportunity for us to be able to be the energy required for people during good times, which is what we pray for and hope for, but over challenging times as well, and being able to power that up. And we have some very strong innovations coming down the pipeline in terms of the Core and how we're going to be a part of everyone's life in good and bad times.
Wow, sounds exciting. We'll see at the end how much of that exciting thing is can you really reveal to us. I wanted to ask you, what sets apart Core from other, let's say, portable batteries of
So
that size and that use?
So we're the right now the main competitors in our space are Chinese owned, Chinese operated business. Now, what I'm not saying is that there's anything wrong with that. We're not against,
Hmm.
the narrative domestically in America is like, make it in America. We agree with that. Of course, we're a factory of over 100 staff making our product in America. But, we believe in a global economy, a global community, a global neighborhood. So, the aspirations for Worksport is to be global, not just local. So with that in mind, what I will say is when the leading brand of something for our target initial market of America, here in America, is foreign made, foreign owned, there's a loss of something called home turf advantage. They don't understand the consumer as much because, it's the leadership and management is in China, for example, and they don't live and breathe the lifestyle that we do every single day. So right now, the systems coming from China are what we call a dumb box of batteries. And I know it sounds derogatory and I don't mean it that way, but they're square rectangular box. They're full of batteries, and they weigh, let's call it 60 pounds. So you're carrying a 60-pound box to the campsite. You plug in for the day, and when it's dead, it's now a 60-pound paperweight, and you have to plug it into the wall for 8 hours. So imagine at the beginning of the day, you're a hero. You're bringing this battery system, and then halfway through the day, it's dead, And then at the end of the day, you're cursing it because now it's just a box full of bricks. It might as well be because it's useless. You're just lugging around paperweights. So with the core system, we invented and own all the intellectual property around a modular battery system. So we're the only one of its kind, like a power tool, where the battery could be removed from the system, placed on charged. It could be charged by any wall outlet, any 12-volt source, like a boat or an RV or a car. Which of course it would be stupid to want to run your vehicle and charge, a battery. But sometimes when people are driving, they could charge their batteries. So it could be charged by, again, wall outlet, our battery, any 12-volt source, or any solar array. So if you have at a campsite a solar array on the roof of your camper, or you've brought our solar panels, or you have our SOLIS, you could charge a depleted battery with our SOLIS and use a charged battery. So it's literally and virtually unlimited power, and it really fits the consumer's needs. Instead of buying a box of batteries that has a finite charged and then discharged, it's dead and it's useless. Our system, if you buy 3 batteries, you have 3 kilowatts. If you need 5 kilowatts, buy 5 batteries from us. Further down the line, we're thinking about ways of integrating into other, lifestyle apparatuses for people. And I'll get into that in a minute. So Worksport's invented the first power generator with unlimited modular energy systems. So you can buy as much and have as much energy as you need, whether you're powering your roofer and you're powering a crew roofing houses in a community, or if you're having a beach party, or if you're off grid for a week at a time, you can have as much power as you want, and you're charging and depleting batteries at the same time. Whereas other systems out there they're just a box of batteries. So we're very happy about that. And that's our biggest element, our biggest inventive element. Outside of that, we have the first touchscreen, full LCD touchscreen that you could literally watch movies on, like a same screen as an iPhone or a Samsung device uses. And then we have emergency lighting built into the system as well. Further down the line, next year, we're going to start looking at communications, so hotspot and LTE or satellite connectivity for the system, so that Worksport could be unlike SpaceX or the Starlink. Unlike Starlink, where these communication devices need power, Worksport Core will be a power system that also provides communications concurrently. So if the power were to go out, or you're just having a beach party or something like that, everyone can connect to our core system as a Wi-Fi broadcast and be able to remain connected. So that's, again, very good for good times or bad times. Of course, when you have guests coming over to your house, the first thing they say is, "What's your Wi-Fi password?" Of course, they have data on their phone, but they want to connect to Wi-Fi. So the core is going to be modular. It's the first iteration is going to be a modular battery system with an LED screen and LCD screen and emergency lighting. But then on top of it and down the line, we're going to look at integrations, and we're going to look at communications.
Oh my God, Core's gonna be like 30-in-1 gadget.
Swiss Army knife, yeah.
Swiss Army knife, yes, amazing. So do you see, for example, do you see SOLIS and Core being a standard on a pickup in a few years, a decade?
We think
Or products similar to,
we think that the SOLIS is going to be something that a lot of pickup truck owners are going to want. It's modestly more expensive, so it's not like 5 times the price of a normal tonneau cover. It's not that much more. And so the SOLIS is going to be, I think, a must-have for pickup truck owners. And we're going to look at OEM partnerships as well once we get the product launched and we mature. But beyond that, our intention for the Core as a high utility item is to have it, on a global scale, whether it's a farmer in the continent of Africa to a taxi driver in Europe. It makes no difference. We have global aspirations for the Core power system to be a part of people's lives. And I think Worksport's taking a very serious look and stance and position as energy storage, because what's powering finance, what's powering even blockchains and communications, what's powering everybody is energy. And I think energy storage is going to be big part of the future for us.
Yes, amazing. I mean, the future is so prolific. This sounds really interesting, exciting. I wanted to ask you about manufacturing. So you are based in Canada, right? You have U.S. manufacturing facilities, right? So I wanted to ask you, what was the most challenging way of setting up the whole, manufacturing facilities, or something that was most rewarding in that process?
So yeah, I am Canadian, born and raised, although now obviously also American. And very proud to be, made in America. We first looked at setting up manufacturing in Canada, and Canada did not seem very, at least in the eastern side of Canada, did not seem very open for business. There wasn't very much support. Real estate is expensive. Taxes are extremely high. Power is high. And I hate to speak, I'm not saying things out of in derogatory senses. It's just facts.
Absolutely.
A building was $50 million for a very small building, and power was expensive, tax was expensive, so it just didn't make sense for us. So we looked across the border in the state of New York. And in New York, we had a very warm reception. We had just such a strong community of individuals looking to help us find real estate, establish our factory, get set up, plan it. And what we found in the USA, and specifically also in New York, we found this everywhere, but we've experienced it the most in New York, is this beautiful, and this was one of the most rewarding things, is finding individuals in our field or in manufacturing. How do I say this? In Ontario, in Canada, we find like someone that's a programmer and they're good at programming. And we find someone that's a contractor that's good at building. In the US, specifically where we experienced it the most in New York, we found this beautiful intersection of individuals that were both brain and brawn. What I mean is
Mhm.
we're finding individuals that were willing and able to design something and physically build it with their own hands. So, you talk about Worksport being a Swiss Army knife of products. We're finding the Swiss Army knife of people. And we have this factory. We started with, it was just me, in 2020, 2021, when we got started, it was just me. And, and heading down into setting up this factory, we now have 100+ people working at our factory in New York. And all of these individuals are so versatile. So to that extent, we're very, very proud of working with this beautiful intersection of brain and brawn. And for all intents and purposes, that's been the most rewarding, is being warmly accepted and supported. We've gotten grants. We have access to very cost efficient power. And we also have access to very bright minds, but also very hard workers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it truly doesn't matter where you start your business. I think Canada is kind of, in some ways, again, we're not talking politics here, but kind of similar-ish to Europe in that way. So sometimes bureaucracy can, take over and, make it not as attractive for you to start
Hmm.
a business there.
Hmm.
But I mean, nevertheless, absolutely, we're happy for you. It's just interesting, again. I mean, I know we briefly mentioned some things you plan to do in the future. Do you have maybe like a milestone that you're excited about, let's say 2026 for the next year?
Yeah. So this year we plan on launching. So we're really growing on our tonneau cover sales, our basic truck bed covers, and the sales grew from they're growing hundreds of percent. 2 years ago, we sold only $1 million the whole year. Last year, we sold $8 million. This year, we're going to be almost $30 million in sales, like
Wow.
between 20 and 30. Next year, we plan on growing, either to 50 million or 100 million, like continue to grow in our tonneau covers, but we want to get our core out this year and really get it growing in the marketplace next year. And then next year we plan on we plan on breaking into 9 figures, so $100 million plus, which puts us into a very strong revenue market. We plan on being very profitable. And then we also plan on looking at different, like I've alluded to during this conversation, looking at expanding our core system to being something that can integrate with communications, be satellite communications, where Worksport will be instrumental in satellite communication and being able to provide mobile connectivity to people around the world. And then our milestones for next year is to further look at integration for our core system, so that our battery, because if you think you have these boxes of batteries, these blocks of batteries for our core, we plan on having if a user has 4 battery packs, we don't want them to just live in the bed of the truck. We want our core battery systems to be able to work in your home for backup power, like a Tesla Powerwall, or your camper, your RV, your cottage, your cabin, your marine applications, industrial applications. So we plan on furthering 2 elements of Worksport next year: communications and connectivity. And that's a very big idea for us. And then we plan on furthering our integration and innovation portfolio of the core battery system as well. So that's on top of the growth that we plan on seeing next year.
Amazing. Congrats on the current milestones in the plan and the growth. I mean, it sounds amazing. Sounds like you're definitely going to be hiring. Sounds like you're definitely going to be expanding your facilities. Okay, yeah. I mean, maybe one of our listeners is someone who's super versatile and
Mhm.
ready to jump in.
Mhm.
I want to ask you, does Core right now has like a mobile application, something that you can, or is it totally like standalone system?
You mean like phone connect, like connecting to your
Yeah, phone
phone?
connectivity.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's standard. So we have an app that we use that you could turn things on and off. You could
Okay.
turn your system on and off. You could turn on the lights. You can see statistics. Yeah, it's a full Bluetooth connectivity. And then yeah, in terms of communications, the next step, like I said, is like a hotspot.
Okay. Awesome. And now maybe thinking a bit further, let's say, what would you like to, by let's say 2030, what's one thing Worksport will make possible that feels impossible today?
By 2030, I think that our intention as a company is to be able to take people's independence from the grid completely, eliminate people's dependence on the grid completely. So what our intention is to have home backup power or home power, remote power, whether it's job site, campsite, and then
Mm-hmm.
connectivity. And also we have a subsidiary. I know things get confusing, but we have a subsidiary called TerraVis Energy that's looking at heat pump systems, and it's developed a very highly efficient heat pump system that could heat and cool spaces, whether it's commercial
Mm-hmm.
or residential, without the requirement of natural gas. So right now, people need power from the grid for heat and for home, or gas, natural gas, which is very common in parts of the world for heating. And developing, we plan on being instrumental in being a big part of the future of having your home, your life completely disconnected from the grid. What you find is if the power goes out, so when I was young, I was about not five, maybe closer to 10 years old. The power went out so this was like the 90s, and the power went out for a week here in where I grew up in Ontario. And during that week, we had a blast. Okay. We had no power, no hot water, but we had running water. So we took cold showers. But, being in the 90s, we were able to continue to just play and have fun. And we were outside and we were visiting family. And there's no traffic lights. So we had to kind of walk or bike around the community in the neighborhood. But that week was a very, very good week for us. Fast forward to 2024, the power goes out, and you watch how fast civilization takes 100 or 200 year step backwards. People don't know what to do with themselves, and I think that it's no longer optional to be online, to have communications and connectivity. With acknowledging where we are as a civilization, we're encouraging people to get outside and enjoy the great outdoors. But for those that require connectivity for quality of life, we want to be a big part of being able to provide that without requirement for a power grid that might become stressed and fail, or gas that might be expensive, or communications that may be unreliable.
Wow, really inspiring. I can definitely tell you a social media algorithm is gonna love once we cut up this interview and post it as shorts,
Hmm.
because these are really interesting statements, really interesting views, projections. So yeah, we can only wish you luck.
Mm, appreciate it.
Uh, I would like to kind of finish things off with a quick fire round of questions, if you don't mind. For quick questions, you can answer with a sentence or two or a word or two. So the first one is, in your opinion, most underrated trend in clean mobility.
Most underrated trend in clean mobility. Oh, that's a really good question. I don't see enough solar.
Okay.
I see a lot of like scooters, and it's a big trend here is scooters, but then they plug in. But I think that the adoption of solar where it's so affordable, I think is crazy. I think that why I don't see more solar panels on roofs of houses or sheds or around communities is insane for the cost of it.
Absolutely. It's so absurd. And it's just a free, I mean, it's a endless source of free energy, pretty much. Yeah, absolutely. Adoption of solars are, yes, I agree with you. In your opinion, most overhyped buzzword in energy tech.
Yeah, clean, green, right? We all buy Teslas and we think that
Okay.
Mother Nature is happy. But, when you plug
Okay.
your Tesla into the wall, where's the power coming from? In America, it's coal plants and natural gas plants. So clean green EVs, they're not clean and green. In fact, they probably have bigger peripheral carbon emissions. So yeah, I think clean and green is it really? I don't know.
Okay, interesting, interesting. We'll see people in the comments debating with this, but yeah, absolutely. But a truck you'd love to see SOLIS standard on.
Hmm. I love Slate. I love the Slate platform, Amazon backed. I think that they
Mm-hmm.
have an amazing, efficient product. I'd love to see us with Slate. Rivian's fantastic as a company too. Beautiful truck, and I love the mission and lifestyle. So those are the two. The big ones like General Motors and Ford. The battery packs are massive. I mean, they're like 200 kilowatts or something like that. So I'd like to see those become more efficient first.
Yeah, I agree. I think that especially, yeah, like modular vehicles for me are so cool.
Hmm.
I would love to see more brands like,
Hmm.
yeah, like it's amazing. And the last one feature that you're itching to add to core. We kind of briefly touched on that, but something that's like maybe not possible in the next 2 years or sounds impossible now, but
Bitcoin mining.
Bitcoin mining. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
there
so
was
much
some
power. Yeah.
one single miner hit $400,000 from a single mining rig last week, I think, or a week and a half ago. So if you can have a core power system that's given to you for free because it's passively mining Bitcoin that's paying for the system itself, you have unlimited access to power for $0. I think that's very meaningful in terms of the future opportunities for people.
Yeah, I think maybe also something related to artificial intelligence because we've seen those charts in the past week. They're all over my social media, how much energy, those facilities are taking. So yeah, definitely. Well, we're wrapping up. Huge thanks to Steven. I mean, this was an amazing pod. I thoroughly enjoy this. Uh, and thank the whole, I mean, we are thanking the whole Worksport team for, showing us how trucks can double as clean energy platforms. From SOLIS to core batteries, Worksport is definitely proving the pickup of the future is truly innovative, exciting, and sustainable. We'll be back soon. We'd love to host you for the round two sometimes in the future when we have something interesting. And I mean, we know that you're gonna have something interesting. We've heard
Right.
enough. So yeah, until then, thank you once more, and yeah, keep it charting stack. Of course,
Thank you.
Steven.
Thank you. Thank you. Talk soon.